There's a question I get almost every day, and it sounds really innocent. Hey, if I stop texting her, stop caring, will she forget me? Will she slowly drift away? And the truth is, that question is quietly destroying your attractiveness. Take a look at yourself for a second. You text good morning every day, good night every night. You care like a machine that never shuts off. And what do you get in return? Seen, dry replies. Or worse, you slowly get pushed into the friend zone. But the worst part isn't being ignored. It's sitting there, staring at your phone, waiting for someone who isn't waiting for you. Meanwhile, she's out living her life, posting stories, going out, having fun, barely thinking about you at all. Why? Because you've accidentally become something that's always available. And anything that's always available stops being valuable. And this is where everything flips. Because the psychology of being ignored isn't about being cold or manipulative. It's about how human attention actually works when something suddenly disappears. In this video, I'll break down 6 psychological triggers that explain why. The more someone feels your absence, the more they start thinking about you. 1. The psychology of being ignored. Why it works. When you text a girl and she doesn't reply for 3 hours, or worse, she sees your message and says nothing, how do you feel? Frustrated? Annoyed? Maybe even tempted to throw your phone away, right? But here's the twist. That's actually the moment you start thinking about her the most. You reread old messages, you check her social media, you start wondering, did I say something wrong? And without realizing it, you're being psychologically pulled in. Because humans are not designed to value what's easy to get. We are wired to chase uncertainty. We want what feels rare, what feels unpredictable, what feels slightly out of reach. Diamonds are valuable because they're rare. If diamonds were everywhere like stones on the street, nobody would care. But here's where most people get it wrong. Being ignored is not about being rude, or blocking someone, or acting cold on purpose. That's not the point. 2. The price of being always available. Be honest for a second. Are you basically just a notification machine? Morning. Did you wake up? Afternoon. What are you eating? Night. Good night. And you think this makes her value you more? No. You've got it backwards. Let me show you something. Imagine you message your favorite celebrity, your idol, and 5 seconds later, they reply instantly. Not only that, they start chatting all day about how bored they are. How would you feel? At first, maybe excited, but then something changes. The admiration drops. Fast. Because suddenly you realize, wait, this person isn't as different from me as I thought. And that illusion is gone. That's exactly what happens when you're always available. The moment you reply instantly, every single time, you stop being interesting. You become predictable. And predictability kills attraction. Because if someone always has access to you, their brain automatically labels you as low priority. Not because you are worthless, but because your presence has no scarcity. A man with real value behaves differently. He's not sitting around waiting for messages. He's building something, working, moving with purpose. So when he replies, it feels intentional, not automatic. 3. The psychology of being ignored, stealing her right to miss you. Listen carefully to this. Love doesn't grow when 2 people are constantly together. It grows in the space, between moments. But here's what most men do wrong. You fill every empty space of her day. Morning texts, afternoon check-ins, night messages. You're basically everywhere, all the time. like a notification that never stops. And without realizing it, you're not attracting her. You're suffocating her attention. Because attraction needs one thing to survive: distance. Not emotional games, not manipulation, just space. Think about every romantic movie you've ever watched. The male lead is never always available. He's busy, unpredictable, hard to read. And that's exactly why she thinks about him. Not because he talks more, but because he disappears enough. And here's the part nobody tells you. When you're too present, you're stealing something from her. Something powerful. Her right to miss you. Because missing someone is not passive. It's an emotional process the brain needs to build attachment. No space equals no imagination. No imagination equals no emotional attachment. So what happens when you constantly text? You don't give her time to wonder, why hasn't he texted? Where is he right now? Is he talking to someone else? You erase all of that before it can even exist. And here's the twist most men never understand. If she never misses you, she will never feel you deeply either. 4. Predictability is the silent killer of attraction. Let me tell you something most men never realize. Being predictable is more dangerous than being ignored. Think about it. A man who is completely predictable is like a movie where the ending is spoiled in the first 5 minutes. Nobody stays to watch that. They already know what's coming. So they leave. That's exactly what happens in attraction. The moment she can predict you, the game quietly ends. Not loudly, not dramatically, just silently. Because there's nothing left to chase. No mystery, no tension, no uncertainty. Now, compare these two versions of you. Good morning, every single day. Or a man who disappears, then suddenly shows up with a message she can't immediately decode. When she reads something unclear, her brain starts working. What does he mean? Why did he say that? Is there something behind this? And the moment her mind starts processing you, you are no longer just a person. You become a thought. And here's the real trap most people miss. Attraction doesn't grow when she understands you. It grows when she can't fully figure you out. But be careful, because most men take this too far and completely destroy connection instead of building curiosity. 5. Hot and cold. The psychology of emotional addiction. Do you know why gambling becomes addictive? Not because people win every time, and not because they lose every time either. It's because the reward is unpredictable. Sometimes you win. Sometimes you don't. And the brain becomes obsessed with figuring out when the next reward is coming. Psychologists call this variable reinforcement. And strangely, human attraction works the same way. If someone gives you attention constantly, your brain adapts to it. It becomes normal, expected, emotionally invisible. But when attention suddenly becomes unpredictable, the emotional intensity changes completely. One moment, you feel deeply connected to them. The next moment, they disappear back into their own world. Not because they're playing games, but because their life doesn't revolve around constant attention. And this is where dopamine enters the picture. Because uncertainty creates anticipation. And anticipation is one of the strongest emotional triggers in the human brain. Now she starts wondering, why do I suddenly miss him? Why am I checking my phone? Why is he stuck in my head today? And without realizing it, the emotional investment begins. But here's the mistake most people make. They think hot and cold means becoming toxic, ignoring messages, creating drama, acting emotionally unstable. That's not attraction. That's insecurity disguised as strategy. Real emotional tension is much quieter than that. It comes from having your own mission, your own focus, your own life outside the relationship. And ironically, that independence is what makes your attention feel addictive. 6. Self-control is the highest level of attraction. Here's the final thing most men never understand. The highest form of attraction is not manipulation. It's self-control. A man becomes truly attractive the moment his emotions stop being controlled by attention. Imagine this. You plan to go to the gym at 5 p.m. Suddenly she texts, "Come see me right now." Most men instantly cancel everything, not because they truly want to, but because they're afraid of losing the moment, afraid the attention might disappear. But emotional discipline looks different. You calmly reply, "Can't right now. I'll see you later tonight." No panic, no guilt, no need to over-explain. And strangely, that calmness creates more attraction than desperation ever could. Why? Because emotional stability feels rare. Most people abandon themselves the moment emotions appear. They drop their priorities, their routines, their purpose, just to feel chosen. But the people who are hardest to emotionally control are usually the people everyone becomes emotionally attached to. And that's the real psychology behind being ignored. It's not about making someone chase you. It's about building a life so grounded that your attention becomes valuable naturally. At the end of the day, the psychology of being ignored was never really about manipulation. It was about self-control. Because the moment your emotional state depends entirely on someone texting you back, you slowly lose your center. And people can feel that energy immediately. Real attraction works differently. It comes from having your own goals, your own focus, your own direction in life. And when your life feels meaningful, you stop chasing attention so desperately. Ironically, that's when your attention becomes valuable, because people are naturally drawn to those who feel emotionally grounded, not needy, not reactive, not constantly seeking validation. So if there's one thing to remember from all of this, it's this. The moment you stop trying so hard to be desired is usually the moment you become unforgettable. What if I ignore her too much and she loses interest? Then you misunderstood the point. Being ignored is not emotional neglect. It simply means your life does not revolve around instant replies and constant reassurance. Healthy attraction still needs warmth and consistency, just not desperation. What's the difference between hot and cold and emotional instability? Hot and cold creates emotional contrast. Emotional instability creates chaos. One creates curiosity. The other creates emotional exhaustion. And emotionally intelligent people can feel the difference immediately. What if I actually have too much free time? Then pretending to be busy won't work. Fake scarcity is easy to detect. The real solution is building a life that naturally demands your energy. Fitness, purpose, work, growth. Because when your life becomes genuinely meaningful, distance happens naturally.